G'day, it's Fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website kangaroocourtofaustralia.com. Now, I've just published an article and it's titled Fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling celebrates 2 years on the run from an arrest warrant issued on the instructions of Kerry Stokes 7. Now, that relates to Channel 7 and its parent company, 7 West Media, instituting contempt proceedings against me in the New South Wales Supreme Court for publishing a website, they claimed. And the website was only up a few months and then they took ownership of it and they claimed I own it for those few months. And they instituted contempt proceedings against me for failing to comply with suppression orders, they say. Well, I denied ownership of that website. I didn't own it. And they failed to prove it in court, but irrespective of that, I was charged with contempt, found guilty of contempt. And the proceedings itself were in breach of the Queensland Human Rights Act. And here I am in Queensland some 2 years later, and there's still an outstanding warrant. Now, I'll read the article out to you. It's fairly self-explanatory. And we'll see where we go from there, because really the battle lines have been drawn. We've got a new New South Wales government in power since March this year. There was an election, and they can either do the right thing and take the appropriate action and probably quash that arrest warrant. Not probably, definitely quash that arrest warrant. And I'd also argue they should look at the other contempt proceedings previously against me, which were dodgy as well. They should quash them and look at paying compensation. But anyhow, I'll read you out the article. Like I said, it's self-explanatory. And it's published on my website on Sunday the 17th of September 2023. It starts off, Justice Kelly Rees issued an arrest warrant 2 years ago for journalist Shane Dowling, which is me, to serve 10 months jail for contempt of court on the instructions of Kerry Stokes Channel 7 and its parent company, 7 West Media. The arrest warrant was issued at the Supreme Court of New South Wales on the 3rd of September 2021. Within 2 days of the arrest warrant being issued, I published an article and then a video, in effect saying, bring it on if they want, and I'll fight extradition from Queensland, where I had been living since November 2019, where I'm still living. Now, a brief overview of the background of being a fugitive in Australia. The 5th of September 2021 article titled Arrest Warrant issued for Queensland journalist Shane Dowling by the New South Wales Supreme Court on behalf of Kerry Stokes 7 Network and 7 West Media. With the background information, starts off, journalist Shane Dowling, which is me, has been sentenced to 10 months jail by Justice Kelly Rees of the New South Wales Supreme Court on the instructions of Kerry Stokes 7 Network and its parent company, 7 West Media. This is the third time Kerry Stokes 7 have had journalist Shane Dowling charged with contempt. The first time backfired badly, and Stokes and 7 have a lot to answer for. But when an old media company is having new media journalists jailed, all media should be asking some very serious questions. They have issued an arrest warrant as I live in Queensland, and Justice Rees and other judges refused to transfer the matter to Queensland, even though I made several applications to have it transferred so I could go to court. They transferred the Capilano Honey v Simon Mulvaney defamation matter from Sydney to Melbourne in 2017, so they could have transferred this matter to Queensland. This makes me a fugitive in my own country. I'm currently free in Queensland, where I originate from and where I've lived since November 2019. And if I am arrested, I intend on fighting the extradition to New South Wales on numerous legal grounds. Then at the article, you can click on the link to that previous article. Then Kerry Stokes, 7 West Media and the 7 Network. The contempt of court was a private prosecution by Kerry Stokes-controlled 7 West Media and the 7 Network, who have stalked me with multiple SLAP lawsuits, which is strategic lawsuits against public participation, since 2014 for exposing Kerry Stokes' corruption. Ironically, Stokes' right-hand man, Bruce McWilliam, lied to a journalist and said 7 had nothing to do with the court case, which is something that would also be raised at any extradition hearing. The 7 Network, its parent company, 7 West Media, and major shareholder Kerry Stokes, are the same companies in person who have in recent times spent millions of dollars paying for Ben Robert-Smith's failed defamation case to try and hide Robert Smith's war crimes. In the cases against me, Kerry Stokes was using 7's money in 3 SLAP lawsuits to try and hide his and 7's crimes, which I've been reporting on for years. Stokes also used Capilano Honey's money, where he was a major shareholder and still a shareholder, to try and silence my reporting as well. On the 15th of May 2022, I published an article titled Fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling talks about being on the run in Australia, dropping to number 39 in the World Press Freedom Index. And there's a link to that article. On the 23rd of February 2023, I published an article titled How Queensland Human Rights Act Protects Fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from being extradited to New South Wales, which lays out the key elements and starts off. On the 3rd of September 2021, the New South Wales Supreme Court sentenced Shane Dowling, me, to 10 months jail for contempt of court and issued an arrest warrant. Now, the Queensland Human Rights Act gives the right to a fair hearing to every Queenslander, which I say was breached. It's a right that will be tested in court if I am arrested, but the right to a fair hearing guaranteed by the Human Rights Act is something every Australian should have, which they currently don't. Human rights is an issue that should be on the federal government's agenda, given the continual persecution of whistleblowers, David McBride, Richard Boyle, Julian Assange, and others. Australia does not have a Human Rights Act, but Queensland and the ACT do, which might help David McBride, whose matter is being tried in the ACT courts. People living in other states and the Northern Territory should be asking why people living in Queensland and the ACT have more human rights than they do. The problem the New South Wales government have is the 2021 trial in the New South Wales Supreme Court breached the Queensland Human Rights Act, which protects my rights to a fair trial. And if the New South Wales government did try to arrest me and then extradite me to New South Wales, they would be in breach of the Queensland Human Rights Act for a second time. The New South Wales government would have to instruct lawyers, barristers to lie and deceive like no tomorrow to have any chance. But even then, it would be futile unless the New South Wales government could convince a Queensland magistrate, 3 appeals judges of the Queensland Supreme Court and possibly the High Court of Australia judges, police and the Queensland Human Rights Commission to all breach the Queensland Human Rights Act and conspire with the New South Wales government to stitch me up for 10 months jail. That won't happen, especially given the whole situation would play out on the Kangaroo Court of Australia media and social media. Since the arrest warrant was issued on the 3rd of September 2021, I have continued to work as an independent journalist, publishing articles on the Kangaroo Court of Australia website and videos on the YouTube channel, and promote them via Facebook, Twitter, and Threads accounts. At the beginning of the videos on YouTube, I start off introducing myself as Fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website Kangaroo Court of Australia. And I also have articles pinned to the top of my website and social media accounts reporting the arrest warrant. So I have not been hiding the fact that there is an outstanding arrest warrant for me in New South Wales, and at this point, no one has tried to arrest me or even contacted me about the issue. But as I also said in the 23rd of February 2023 article titled How Queensland's Human Rights Act Protects Fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from being extradited to New South Wales, but running an argument at an extradition hearing that my human rights under the Queensland Human Rights Act have been breached would put New South Wales government, New South Wales Supreme Court Justice Kelly Rees and others on trial for breaching the Queensland Human Rights Act. That is a gauntlet that none of them would ever want to run. The major reason I've not been arrested, I have no doubt, is that I am not a threat to anyone, and no one in the New South Wales government wants to sign off on a request to the Queensland Police asking that they arrest me as a matter of urgency. Now, in the near future, I'll likely write a letter to the New South Wales Attorney-General, Michael Daly, outlining the issues, outlining the facts that the New South Wales courts breached not only the law in New South Wales, they breached the Queensland Human Rights Act. Like I said, I made several requests for them to transfer it to Queensland. They refused. And 7 argued against it being transferred to Queensland, even though they have large offices up here. They had the judges in their hip pocket down there and they wanted to stitch me up. But irrespective of all that, I'll write to the Attorney-General, New South Wales Attorney-General, Michael Daly, point out all the facts and see what he does. The bottom line is I'm not hiding. They can come and get me any time. But like I said, I'll fight extradition and all their dirty laundry will play out in the Queensland Magistrates Court initially. And then from what I can tell, there's an automatic right of appeal. So if I was to lose, which I believe I'd win, but even if I was to lose, it'd go to the Queensland Supreme Court and potentially to the High Court. As it's relatively new legislation, the Queensland Human Rights Act only came into effect, I think it was January 2020 came into effect. So it's probably never really been tested, at least from an aspect of a fair trial is concerned. So given it'd be a bit of a precedent, there's a good chance that it would might potentially get to the High Court. Anyhow, like I said, I'll write to the New South Wales Attorney General, Michael Daly. In the near future, he's only been in power 6 months. They just won an election, Labor, an election in March 2023. So he wasn't in power when I was stitched up by Justice Kelly Reeves, but he's in power now, so it's up to him to take the appropriate action. Kangaroo Court of Australia's independent media. I publish a website and YouTube channel, and I'm 100% crowdfunded from viewers like yourself. And I currently have 321 patrons donating $2,114 a month, and I really need to double it to become financially viable. So if you could support that, it'd be great. You can donate any amount, $3, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30, $40, $50 a month, whatever suits your budget. And you'll find the link for the Patreon account below this video on YouTube and also on my website. And please share this video on Twitter, Facebook, and social media. Thank you for your time and have a good day.